The village of Amaozalla sat quietly beneath the whispering hills, as if the land itself knew too many secrets to ever raise its voice. Dry harmattan winds swept through the narrow footpaths, carrying with them the scent of dust, cracked wood, and something older, something forgotten. The palm fronds rustled like gossiping tongues, swaying as if they remembered stories no one dared to repeat. Each step on the red, cracked earth echoed too loudly in the silence, reminding even the bravest soul that Amaozalla was not an ordinary village. At the edge of the forest, where the bush thickens and the light begins to die early, stood a crooked mud house. The walls flaked like old skin, the zinc roof groaned with each gust of wind, and cobwebs danced like veils in the broken windows. This was the home of Mama Daniel. She was 73, her back bent like a bowstring that had been pulled too long. Her hair, once thick and black, now curled gray like smoke around her wrinkled face. Her eyes, sharp, yellowing, always watching, were the kind that seemed to see beyond skin and bone. The villagers whispered about her. They said she could speak to spirits. They said her herbs could heal or harm. Some swore they saw her talking to shadows. Others avoided her entirely. Children ran when they heard her parrot mimic laughter in the night. But Mama Daniel? She talked to her herbs like they were her children. "Ehe, Yoziza, behave," she'd mutter, pinching a leaf. "And Chuanwo, you're too quiet this morning." Her cracked fingers stroked the leaves with care, whispering secrets to roots and bark. Her only true companion was Akwu, her parrot, an old, noisy thing that often repeated sentences no one taught it. Some claimed the bird was possessed. Others believed it was once human. But Mama Daniel never flinched at the rumors. She knew Amaozalla feared what it didn't understand. Still, something in the wind that morning felt different. Heavy, watchful, as if the village was holding its breath. And so was she. 30 years ago, Mama Daniel was not feared. She was loved, revered even. The go-to woman for childbirth, fever, infertility. Her hands, though weathered even then, were steady, soft, and full of knowledge passed down from generations of midwives. She had helped bring over 100 babies into the world, and the women of Amaozalla would often say, "If Mama Daniel is with you, death will not dare come near." But death came anyway. It was the chief's only son, Abadike. A robust boy of 10, bright-eyed, always laughing, always chasing dragonflies near the stream. Until one evening, he went to bed with a slight fever and never woke up. Panic broke out. The palace wailed. The chief tore his wrapper and declared a curse had fallen on his house. And in a village that fed on whispers, it didn't take long for suspicion to find a target. They said Mama Daniel gave him herbs that day. They said she came to the palace and stared too long at the boy. That she walked past his window and the parrot spoke in tongues. The grieving chief's mourning turned to rage, and the elders, spine bent by fear, nodded silently as he branded her a witch. Her daughter, Ijeoma, barely 17 then, had screamed at the council, calling them liars, calling the gods as witnesses. But fear is louder than truth. Shame strangled Ijeoma's pride, and one rainy morning, with no goodbye, she vanished on foot, her wrapper soaked and her eyes swollen. Mama Daniel had gone to the river shrine, barefoot, empty-handed. She had knelt before the gods, crying, swearing her innocence, offering her life if it would bring back the boy. But even the river seemed to turn its face. The priestess would not even look at her. Now, every night, she lit a small oil lamp and sat in front of her husband's wooden mask, carved from the Irako tree before he died in the war. She spoke to it like he still lived, asking, "Did I fail them? Or did they fail me?" She never got an answer. But the pain never left. It lived in her chest like a coiled snake, burning slow. And though 30 years had passed, Amaozalla never forgave, never forgot. Neither did she. It began subtly, like a cough before a storm. One morning, a pregnant goat gave birth to 2 kids, both with twisted legs and no eyes. The owner, a poor farmer named Nyameka, screamed as though the world had ended. Then came the dreams. Children across the village started waking up crying, clutching their chests, speaking in tongues they didn't know. Some swore they saw a woman with ash-colored eyes sitting by their mats, humming an old song from the forest. And then, the final blow, Amaozalla's stream, the one that had never dried in living memory, went silent overnight. Dry, dusty. The fish lay still on cracked mud like sacrifice secrets. The elders gathered at the square, their brittle fingers clenched around prayer beads, muttering old incantations. They didn't need to say her name. But they did. "It's the witch again," rasped Elder Oduka, his voice trembling as he stared toward the forest edge. Whispers spread like bushfire, and with them came Obinna, the new chief. 32, handsome, prideful, and always looking for a reason to make history. This was his chance. "Enough is enough," he declared, stepping barefoot onto the sacred stone. His red wrapper billowed in the wind, and his voice rang like a bell. "We've allowed this abomination to walk among us long enough. Look at our children. Look at our land. She must be dealt with once and for all." A silence followed, heavy and uncomfortable. The kind of silence that dares anyone to speak against it. Obinna's eyes scanned the crowd, his chin high. "We will not wait for the gods to speak. We will drag the evil into the light, driven out or burned." That was the choice he gave them. And in a village that feared everything unseen, fear always won. The village square was swollen with bodies. Every path in Amaozalla seemed to pour into it like a vein feeding a heart, one filled with fear, tension, and something else, bloodlust. Obinna stood in the center, arms crossed over his bare chest, a single red feather tucked behind his ear. His voice cut through the murmuring like a blade. "If she is not what they say," he thundered, "let the gods judge." The villagers held their breath. Some shifted their feet. Others clutched charms and amulets. Children peered from behind their mothers' wrappers, their eyes wide, unblinking. Obinna's gaze turned sharp, like a knife pointed directly at Mama Daniel, who stood at the edge of the gathering with Akwu, the parrot perched silently on her shoulder. "Tonight," he said, "she will enter the sacred grove of Ioni. She will spend the dark hours alone, among the spirits. If she returns unharmed, she walks free. If not..." He let the threat hang like smoke. A murmur swept the crowd. No one had spoken of the grove in years. Not since the War of the Gods, when thunder cracked the earth and lightning split a tree said to carry the voice of the ancestors. No one had entered it since, no one who ever came back. Mama Daniel stepped forward, her walking stick tapping gently against the dusty ground. She looked at Obinna, then at the elders, then at the sky. Her voice was low, cracked, but steady. "I will go." The crowd gasped. Even Obinna's confident smile faltered. "I do not go to prove anything to you," she added, her eyes distant, her fingers tight around her staff. "I go because someone waits for me there. My husband's soul walks those trees." And, just like that, she turned. No wailing, no drama. Her bare feet moved across the earth slowly, deliberately. The people parted for her like the Red Sea. Obinna watched her walk away, but something in her silence unsettled him. She looked like a woman walking toward her end, or toward something even more dangerous, truth. The villagers stood like statues at the edge of the forest, their faces half-lit by flickering torch flames. No one dared cross the boundary, not even Obinna. Women whispered silent prayers under their breath. Some clutched their children, others gripped charms soaked in palm oil. The air was thick, humid, tense, watching. Mama Daniel stepped forward slowly, her bare feet pressing into the cool earth. The gourd tied in a white cloth swung gently from her hand, her old iron staff tapping a soft rhythm like a forgotten drumbeat. On her shoulder, Akwu the parrot shifted, unusually quiet, its beady eyes scanning the trees ahead. Not even the wind dared to blow. As she crossed into the sacred grove, it felt like stepping into another world. The air changed. The light dimmed unnaturally, though the moon was high above. Trees twisted upward like they were in pain, their branches reaching down as if trying to touch her. Fireflies blinked around her, glowing blue instead of gold, unnatural, ghost-like. And then the voices began. Not loud, not clear, but whispers. Familiar and strange, layered over each other like chants underwater. She walked until the trees thickened and the path vanished. There, beneath a bent Irako tree, she placed the gourd down, uncorked it, and began to pour libation onto the earth. Daiki, my fathers, my mothers, spirits that know me, answer me tonight, she whispered in the dialect of her grandmother. If I have sinned, judge me. If I have not, show me why I bleed. She closed her eyes and chanted. Then, the ground trembled. It wasn't violent, but it wasn't natural either. Her vision blurred. Then came the flashes. She saw Ijeoma as a child, dancing with flowers in her hair. She saw the night of the chief's son's death, but from a different angle. A small hand dropping black powder into the boy's soup. Not hers. A masked figure. Then a boy's scream. A thud. A silence that felt final. And then, something stepped forward. Tall, shadowy, genderless. Its voice came not through sound, but directly into her bones. "You're not cursed," it said, "but the curse is near you." Mama Daniel's knees buckled. Her parrot screeched. And the forest exhaled. The forest did not move, but it breathed. The spirit stood before her, no eyes, no mouth, just a silhouette wrapped in smoke and silence. Mama Daniel's throat tightened as she clutched her staff for balance. Her knees ached, her chest burned, but her ears, they listened. "You seek truth," the spirit said, its voice layered like wind against iron. "Then drink it." The fireflies dimmed. The trees leaned in. And suddenly, the air became thick with images floating, flickering, refusing to blink away. She saw Chief Okarik, years younger, seated before a shrine, sweat glistening down his face as he offered something wrapped in white cloth. A voice behind him whispered, "Your son's blood will open the gate." His hands trembled. He nodded. The image twisted. The boy Abadike was laughing near the palace, running toward his evening meal. A masked figure poured something black into his soup. Then silence. Then stillness. Mama Daniel gasped. "It was never you," the spirit whispered. "You were the shadow, not the hand." Her heart clenched. Her fingers dug into the soil beneath her. For 30 years, she had worn guilt like a second skin. But she had only been their mask, an old woman painted in lies, cursed by silence. Then another vision appeared, Ijeoma. She was standing in a flat in Lagos, her hair wrapped in a silk scarf, tears running down her face as she spoke in her sleep. "Mama, I'm coming home. Mama, wait for me." Mama Daniel reached out, but the vision faded into smoke. And something darker lingered in the shadows behind Ijeoma, something with glowing eyes and long fingers, clinging to her back. "What is that?" Mama Daniel asked, her voice cracking. "The curse was not buried," the spirit replied. "It was passed on." She turned slowly, her breath caught. "Obinna?" she whispered. The spirit nodded once. "Born of the same man. The son of Okarik, but not the one you knew." The truth struck her like lightning. Obinna, the one shouting for justice, was the very thread of the curse. A child bred from betrayal. A flame masked as righteousness. Mama Daniel staggered back. Her eyes watered. Her bones felt suddenly heavier than ever. Her parrot screamed into the night. And she collapsed, flat against the earth, as the truth wrapped around her like chains. The sky blushed with the first hint of dawn, casting soft gold across the village edge. Torches had burned to stumps, and many villagers had dozed off in fear-filled sleep. But when the first bird cried out, they stirred, and then they saw her. Mama Daniel. She emerged from the grove slowly, her body swaying like a palm in dry wind. Her wrapper was stained with dust, her feet bruised, and her iron staff dragged behind her like it weighed the world. But her eyes, those eyes glowed with something no one could name. Something older than pain, older than time. Gasps erupted. "She's alive," someone whispered. "No one has ever come back," said another. Even the elders, once firm in their hatred, stood frozen. They exchanged glances, silent, ashamed, remembering old prophecies long buried under gossip and pride. Obinna stepped forward, trying to find his voice. This is a trick. A witch's trick." But before he could finish, Akwu the parrot, who had perched silently on Mama Daniel's shoulder, lifted its head and spoke for the first time that morning. "The child you curse carries your father's blood." The words echoed through the clearing like thunder. Obinna froze. His lips parted. His eyes flicked toward the elders, then back to Mama Daniel. His skin went pale, as though his soul had stepped away from his body. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. She only stared at him, long, still, and without blinking. Eyes full of truth, of judgment, of sorrow that knew too much. And in that stare, the weight of every lie, every curse, and every hidden name came crashing into the morning like a bell no one could unring. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills and cast long shadows over Amaozalla, a strange sound broke the silence. A black car, engine humming low, rolled into the village. Heads turned. Children paused mid-play. No one ever came to Amaozalla after dark. The car stopped near Mama Daniel's compound. The door opened, and a woman stepped out, Ijeoma. Her skin glowed with city polish, but her eyes told a different story. They were tired, burdened. She wore a dark blue wrapper embroidered with silver threads, and her feet moved slowly, like they were unsure if the ground would hold her. Without greeting anyone, she walked toward the crumbling mud house, each step drawing curious stares. The air thickened. She reached the compound and stopped. Her eyes widened as they met her mother's. Her voice trembled. "Mama, what have you done?" No one moved. And then darkness fell. To be continued. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when part 2 drops.